One of the most overlooked truths in attraction is the role of absence. Most men fear giving space, believing that silence or distance will cause her to lose interest. But in reality, absence often fuels desire more effectively than constant presence. Agnes Callard's philosophy teaches us that desire is always directed toward what is slightly out of reach. If you are always available, always present, always responding instantly, then you remove the very tension that makes desire possible. By creating moments of absence, you reintroduce space for her to long, to question, to imagine. Absence is not neglect. It is not cruelty. It is simply the balance between presence and space. When you give her time to miss you, when you do not rush to fill every silence, she begins to recognize your value in a deeper way. She realizes that your presence is not guaranteed, and that realization transforms into respect and attraction. Men who never give space unknowingly train women to take them for granted. But men who embody calm absence while still showing genuine care ignite a much stronger response. Because deep down, women know that a man who can enjoy solitude is a man who is truly strong. He is not empty without her. He is full within himself, and that fullness makes your attention priceless. Part 7. Becoming the man she cannot replace. At the heart of it all lies one ultimate truth. The goal is not to win her through pursuit, but to become the kind of man she cannot replace. Chasing tries to force attraction from the outside, but true magnetism comes from within, from the man you are becoming. Agnes Callard reminds us that aspiration is about transformation. It is about striving toward your higher potential. In relationships, this means embodying qualities that are rare: consistency, vision, composure, strength of character, and a life that extends beyond her. These qualities cannot be faked for long. They must be lived. When you stop chasing and start growing, you place yourself on a different level. You are no longer just another man seeking approval. You are a man whose presence inspires her, whose discipline challenges her, whose purpose makes her want to align with your direction. That is the essence of attraction. Not that she pities you, not that she feels needed, but that she deeply admires the man you are becoming. A woman can replace attention. She can replace gifts. She can replace flattery. But what she cannot easily replace is the man who stands firm in his identity, who does not bend to every demand, who leads himself with clarity. That man becomes unforgettable, because he represents something rare in a world full of men who give themselves away too cheaply. Ending. So hear this clearly. She does not want what you think. She does not want endless chasing, constant attention, or blind sacrifice. What she truly responds to is strength, self-respect, and purpose. She desires the man who does not collapse under pressure, the man who knows where he is going, the man who can walk away if respect is lost. Agnes Callard's philosophy reveals that desire is not about possession, but transformation. And in your life as a man, this truth must guide you. Do not lose yourself in pursuit of her. Instead, become the kind of man who pursues his mission, who grows relentlessly, and who inspires admiration simply by the way he lives. When you do this, something powerful happens. You stop being the man who begs for her time. You become the man whose time she craves. You stop being the man who chases. You become the man she chooses to chase. And in that shift, you will discover what attraction was always meant to be. Not forced, not begged for, but earned through the strength of who you are. So remember this. All men need to hear it. She doesn't want what you think. She wants the man who respects himself enough not to need her approval. She wants the man who lives with direction. She wants the man she cannot replace. There is a truth that few men realize. Silence, control, and composure are often more powerful than words, effort, or pursuit. A man who masters himself becomes a mirror that reflects strength without needing to announce it. And women, consciously or unconsciously, respond to this quality with respect. Agnes Callard's philosophy revolves around the idea of aspiration. That desire is not about consuming what we already have, but about reaching upward, toward something greater. In the same way, your value as a man is not proven by how much you can shower a woman with attention. It is revealed by how much you are becoming, by the progress you are making toward your higher self. When you display mastery over your emotions, especially in the face of rejection, distance, or testing behaviors, you show her that you are not governed by desperation. You show her that you can want her without needing her, that you can appreciate her without collapsing into dependence. This balance is rare, and it is magnetic. The silent power of self-mastery also means you do not need to react to every shift in her mood or every inconsistency in her attention. Many men panic when a woman withdraws slightly. They rush to overcompensate, to chase harder, to beg for reassurance. But the man who has mastered himself does not chase emotions. He steadies himself, stays calm, and continues his mission. That composure is more attractive than any flowery words or romantic gestures. What you must realize is that women test, not because they hate you, but because they want to see whether your strength is real. If you collapse at the first sign of withdrawal, then your strength was only an act. But if you remain calm, steady, and focused on your path, she recognizes that your confidence runs deeper. She may not verbalize it, but inside, she feels respect. In essence, self-mastery is not about controlling her. It is about controlling yourself. It is about showing that you are the kind of man who cannot be shaken easily, who has an inner compass, and who can lead rather than be led. That quality is what truly sets you apart. When a man stops chasing, something fascinating often occurs. The dynamic reverses. The woman begins to chase him, not always in obvious ways but in subtle shifts of behavior. Suddenly she invests more in communication. She shows curiosity about his life. She wants to know where he stands, what he is doing, and whether she has a secure place in his world. Why does this happen? Because human desire works on the principle of scarcity and value. What is freely and excessively available is rarely treasured. What requires patience, respect, and alignment is what becomes precious. Agnes Callard explains that our aspirations point us toward what we lack, toward what feels slightly beyond our grasp. When you stop giving yourself away so easily, you reintroduce that element of scarcity, and she naturally begins to value you more. But it goes deeper. A woman is not only attracted to what you provide, she is attracted to the way your presence makes her feel. When you chase her, you make her feel pursued, perhaps even pressured. But when you remain centered, when you do not give in to the endless need for validation, you create space for her to feel desire for you. Instead of feeling like the prize being hunted, she begins to feel like the one who must prove her worth to stay in your orbit. This reversal is powerful because it forces her to step into the role of the pursuer. She begins to invest, not because you manipulated her, but because your value became undeniable. She sees that you are not simply available at her command. You are a man whose attention must be earned. That shift changes everything. However, this does not mean playing games. It is not about pretending you don't care. It is about genuinely cultivating a life, a purpose, and a presence that does not revolve around her approval. When your reality is full, when your work, your growth, your friendships, and your mission are already meaningful, she senses that your world is rich without her. And paradoxically, that is what makes her want to be part of it. To reverse the chase, you do not need tricks. You need alignment with your true self. You need to stop begging for validation and start embodying value. That is what inspires her to pursue. Respect is the foundation of attraction. Many men confuse love with constant comfort, thinking that if they make her feel endlessly safe, she will never leave. But safety without respect leads to boredom. Affection without admiration leads to disinterest. A woman may enjoy being cared for, but she cannot remain attracted to a man she does not respect. Agnes Callard's insights reveal something crucial. Desire pulls us toward transformation. A woman does not only want a man who makes her feel loved. She wants a man who makes her feel challenged, who elevates her experience of life, and challenge is impossible without respect. When you chase excessively, you signal that you do not respect yourself, that your worth is up for negotiation, that her validation is more important than your standards. Subconsciously, this lowers her view of you. She might accept your attention, but she will not value you deeply. She may even keep you around for comfort while secretly desiring someone else who carries himself with higher authority. But when you stand firm, when you protect your dignity, when you remain generous yet not desperate, you create the balance she truly craves. She feels cared for, but she also feels inspired. She feels affection, but also admiration. That combination is what keeps her invested. Respect is not demanded. It is earned through consistency, integrity, and strength. It is earned by showing that you can hold your ground, even when tested. It is earned by living a life with direction, rather than orbiting hers. When a woman respects you, her attraction grows naturally. When she loses respect, no amount of chasing can save you. So the truth is clear. What hurts a woman most is not your absence, not your silence, not even your rejection. What hurts her most is realizing that you respect yourself enough not to depend on her. That realization forces her to confront her own value, and in many cases, it compels her to step up and meet you at your level. All men need to hear this. She doesn't want what you think. In a world filled with advice, manipulation guides, and endless relationship hacks, men often misunderstand what truly moves a woman's heart. We assume it's constant effort, endless validation, or the relentless pursuit of her attention. But according to philosopher Agnes Callard, who has risen in influence for her deep reflections on desire and human motivation, the truth is far different. What she teaches about human longing and self-discovery applies directly to the realm of male-female dynamics. When a man chases, begs, or bends over backward to prove his worth, he imagines he is building attraction. But in reality, he is only teaching her that his time and energy are cheap. The paradox of desire is this: the more you give away your focus without boundaries, the less it is valued. Women, much like men, are drawn not to what is overexposed, but to what maintains a quiet sense of dignity, purpose, and mystery. Agnes Callard reminds us that desire is not about possession but transformation. It's not about what you already are. It's about what you're becoming. And in relationships, this truth strikes deeper than any quick trick. A woman does not want your desperate pursuit. She wants to feel drawn into your world, into the journey of a man who knows where he is going. This is why many men fail, because they confuse persistence with value and sacrifice their identity in the process. Today, we will uncover what truly happens when you stop chasing, what a woman secretly thinks when you shift your focus, and how your strength and self-mastery becomes the very thing that makes you magnetic. Most men grow up believing that the harder you try, the more love you will receive. Culture tells us that constant attention is romantic, that sacrifice will guarantee loyalty, and that the man who proves himself most available will be rewarded with her affection. But this is an illusion. Agnes Callard points out that desire itself is never satisfied by what is fully possessed. Think about it. If you always give her your time, your words, your energy on demand, what remains for her to wonder about? Where is the curiosity? Where is the pursuit from her side? When you flood her with everything, she loses the opportunity to desire. A man who chases relentlessly thinks he is showing strength, but in reality, he is showing dependency. He is saying, "You are the center of my world, and without you, I am nothing." To a woman, this message does not inspire attraction, it triggers doubt. Because if your worth depends entirely on her recognition, then your strength is fragile, your independence is compromised, and your presence lacks depth. The truth is simple. A woman does not respect a man who abandons his own life just to orbit hers. She respects a man who is centered, grounded, and moving forward with purpose, whether or not she walks beside him. This is where many men go wrong. They believe chasing equals caring. But what women feel is suffocation, not love. Callard explains that desire thrives on tension, on the recognition that something valuable cannot be instantly possessed. When you are always available, when you erase that space of mystery, you rob her of the very thing that could make her long for you. That's why in the modern dating world, countless men are confused. They invest effort, gifts, messages, attention, and yet the woman feels less drawn. The problem is not that they don't give enough, it's that they give away themselves too easily. A high-value man understands that attraction is not built through constant offering but through selective presence. He shows interest, but never desperation. He gives time, but never abandons his mission. He creates space for her to wonder, to question, to pursue in return. This is not a game. It is simply the natural rhythm of desire. Now, what truly happens when you stop chasing? This is where men often fear they will lose everything, that if they do not keep running after her, she will disappear. But paradoxically, the opposite is often true. When you stop chasing, you shift the balance of power. Suddenly, she is no longer the sole prize. You become the man with a life, with priorities, with standards. And this shift forces her to reflect. If your attention is not guaranteed, if your validation is not endless, then perhaps it is something she must earn. Agnes Callard's philosophy on aspiration tells us that human desire is always aimed toward growth, toward something that feels just out of reach. For a woman, a man who does not chase is not rejecting her. He is signaling that his life is already full, already meaningful. To step into his world, she must align with his standards, not expect him to bend entirely to hers. This absence of chasing creates a powerful psychological effect. It makes her reconsider her own position. She begins to think, why isn't he chasing me? Why does he seem content without me? What does he have that I don't fully understand? This curiosity often sparks attraction more strongly than any forced pursuit ever could. By not chasing, you are not withholding love. You are protecting your dignity. You are saying, I have value apart from you. If you wish to join my journey, you are welcome, but I will not lose myself in pursuit of your approval. That self-respect is magnetic. Women may never admit this openly, but when a man stops chasing, it forces them to confront a truth. Attraction is not built on how much you do for her, but on how much you respect yourself. She might test you, she might pull back to see if you will run again, but if you remain steady, grounded, and self-directed, she will feel something far stronger than comfort. She will feel admiration,